Welcome back, all you salty seamen, and welcome to the high tides that are here for fan friction on the tubes of you with we, the Disinformed Podcast. I'm Shane.
I'm Michael.
I'm Courtney.
I'm Steven.
And I got so hot and bothered over our last installment that I just plumb forgot to tell y'all that you should follow Michael's instructions.
For shame.
Woo! You can smash the like button wherever it is, ring the bell, leave a like. I already said that. Subscribe, leave a comment. All those things. Engage, please.
Yes, perspire, inspire,
Yeah, a little A, a little B.
So in any event, in case you're unfamiliar, we host a gloriously indulgent podcast every marvelous Monday morning when it flees your preferred provider app, winging your way, where we delve into random esoteric topics, and in the course of explaining them, we lie about them, and it is glorious fun. So check it out if you have a mind to. And if that podcast has brought you here, then you know what this nonsense is about. But we do occasionally like to delve into fan fiction as well as our grisly topics. And so this is the second installment in our Love on the High Tides, otherwise known as Enough for Now. And who is the author on that? It's Perching Passerine. So if you enjoy what you're hearing, you should go and check out more material by this lovely author. I will not assume anything about them, as that is a fairly anonymous name. And hopefully their parentage was fond of fishing, apparently. I do enjoy perch. It's quite a refreshing fish. Well, we had a lot of love and a little bit of turmoil, and there's a lot of warring emotions that were pervading from the last installment. So I'm very excited to see where we go now. Everybody ready?
Always.
Okay, well then we're gonna just dive right in, just like Suez and Ever Given did last time.
Throw us in at the deep end.
Oh,
Mm.
God.
Don't make me quote Adele more than once in the course of this segment. I can't. I simply can't. I feel like, having read the first one now, that I should have adopted like sort of a Bridges of Madison County sort of Meryl Streep with this. It's sort of, Suez and Ever Given lay side by side. But we'll keep it in the dulcet here. Part 2 begins with Saturday, March 27th. Suez and Ever Given lay side by side in the shadow of the ship's bow, still firmly wedged in the side of the canal.
What will you do when the humans free you?
Suez asked, her eyes tracking the drifting clouds above them.
I will go as I always have, serving them.
Ever Given said.
But why?
Suez said.
You told me you wanted to roam under the stars.
I do, and when I'm with my captain, I get to. If I gave him and my crew up, I would be left to rot at the bottom of the sea. I couldn't do anything without them.
That's the difference between you and me. I'm a spirit of nature, desiring naturally to be free and dependent on no one. You're man-made, and all that is man-made rots without their aid, and so you are content with it.
You're not a spirit of nature.
Ever Given said. She ignored the way Suez's muscles tensed beside her.
You are just as man-made as I am. Your oldest memory is from a mere 200 years ago, isn't it?
A long, long silence. The sound of the water pushing against the rocks was almost drowned out, as it always was, by the greater sounds of the machines and ships and people occupying the canal. As the silence stretched on long enough, filled only by these sounds, Ever Given wondered if she had finally found what would make Suez speechless.
My first memory.
Suez rolled the words over her tongue like she'd never spoken them before.
My first memory is from 250 years ago, when the waters of the Red Sea rushed up to meet the Mediterraneans for the first time.
You are man-made.
Ever Given said.
No, you are man-made, out of metal, melted and remade. You'll die without the people who care for you. My water and soil and rocks are all nature, and so I am nature, only sculpted.
Suez turned towards Evergiven and took her hand.
You may be made for them, but I am only shackled by them. That is why you're content with them and I can never be.
Evergiven closed her eyes.
Do you love them?
Suez asked, the faint edge of disbelief on her tongue.
Yes.
And they love you back?
Evergiven did not have an answer for that right away. Eventually, she said,
In their own way.
You should know that I don't love you.
Suez said. Evergiven opened her eyes.
You only love yourself.
Suez laughed, but it faded quickly. Evergiven said,
It's all right. I don't love you either. I'll go happily with my crew when they free me, and I won't try to stay with you.
Then why did you say that I was enough for you?
Evergiven rolled onto her side and laid a hand on Suez's cheek.
I admire you. You're something I could never be. What would I be like if I weren't bound by them? I won't take the leap myself, but you showed me what it would be to take it.
And then she stole a kiss, and when she pulled away, Suez was staring at her with starry eyes.
I could love you, I think, but I won't because I won't commit myself to any obligation.
Do as you will.
Evergiven said. After a moment in which Suez did not reply, Evergiven sat up. She was going to stand when a hand caught her arm. She turned back.
You said you only want to roam under the stars.
Suez said.
Yes, I do.
Suez was still staring at her with that strange, starry-eyed look on her face.
I'm sorry that I trapped you. Sincerely.
Evergiven looked up at the towering bow above them and said,
You only care about yourself. How could you have done otherwise?
Monday, March 29th. This is like a really weird, like the transition always strikes me as like The Shining, where it's like Tuesday.
Yes, just that dramatic too.
You just expect to cut from that to just, Evergiven just like just frozen in the canal, just staring angrily out into the distance. Yeah. All right. Monday, March 29th. The horns sounded loud and long and cacophonous as the Evergiven began to move. With boats and ships on every side of her hull, ready to tow her back to the Red Sea, the ship spirit stood on her bow and let the wind throw her short hair back as well as it could. A locust hopped onto the railing, and Evergiven welcomed it with a hint of a smile, the curve of her lips at the edges.
I'm surprised.
She said.
I never thought you would let me go so soon.
Suez appeared, sitting primly on the railing.
Hardly. It is the tide's fault, and therefore the moon's.
She replied, but even as she said the words, she gave Evergiven a shy look that betrayed her guilt.
Thank you.
Evergiven said. Suez's face softened to truthfulness.
It's a favor, but one you must repay.
Must I?
Yes, you will return to my waters again, and then you will tell me stories of everything you saw, and I will tell you stories of all the trouble I caused to other people here.
Is that an obligation?
Evergiven said, leaning forward.
An obligation I lay on you.
Suez said.
You're the one who must come back. I can only have to wait, and I couldn't go anywhere else, even if I wished.
No.
Evergiven agreed.
I suppose you couldn't.
Someday I'll convince you to leave your captain. Perhaps I could wreck. Who's moving the cursor all over the page?
It's me.
I can't.
I'm sorry. I'm trying.
My little pea brain is like, there's too many things.
Ah!
You're ruining the moment, Shane.
I'm used to that. Trust me.
Touching.
All right.
Oh, they're touching.
Oh. Someday I'll convince you to leave your captain. Perhaps I could wreck you so that you could never bring you out of the canal and you could be with me forever.
If you could love me,
Ever
ever
given
given
said.
said.
Sorry. I guess I
Okay.
didn't proofread that as well as I thought I did.
You're fired, Michael.
Yeah. Oops.
I'll help
me
you,
start
Stephen.
over.
Yep. I'll dive in.
If you could love me,
Ever given said.
I could love you too. On the day that I agree to that, you will have earned it.
Suez dropped to the deck and cupped Evergiven's face with her hands. She gave her a peck on the cheek and whispered into her ear.
Promise to return, and on that day, we shall see.
I promise.
Evergiven said. The horns around them grew in pitch, and Suez's touch faded away. A locust dove into the water, just as the ship passed into the sea. And that, dear friends, is how we shall part ways on the anthropomorphic love that was. Enough for now. And I think that's enough for now for me, without question.
Never.
Oh. I thought this would have gotten so much raunchier, and now I'm just
You want
It's kind of disappointing.
I will okay. All right. I know the next one that I will script for next week.
I know she said, like she could wreck her, but I'm erect right now.
Erect?
Yep, I'm just erect. I've been wrecked here and wrecked there and wrecked everywhere. I'm just wrecked.
Wrecked here,
In a
darn
sing-
near.
Oh, darn it. He beat me to the punch. Ah!
Well, if there's any beating going on here, it'll be me, dadgummit.
Whoa.
Anyway, so thank you all for being here. You've already been admonished to show us your love in any form or fashion you wish. So if you would care to kiss us on the cheek and then dive into a canal somewhere, I would accept it. But at that same turn, you can also find new episodes of our glorious little podcast fleeing from your preferred provider app every marvelous Monday morning. And of course, we are back here on the tubes of you every wacky Wednesday for a while. Anytime that we, throw out new fan fiction or any new content, we have decided Wednesday, hump day, is our official day. And it is very appropriate given the content that we are whipping at you at the present. Just
that
like
pick me up you need.
just like multiple MIGs at Clarice Starling, as I've said before, just whipping it right at you. And hopefully Hannibal will intervene at some point because discourtesy is terribly ugly to me. But thank you all for being here as per usual. And thank you, superfan Stephen, for taking part in the hilarity or the touching romance that was enough for now. And thank you also for the research. And Michael, thank you so much as always for scripting. You are so wonderfully glorious and usually, not including typos and misattributed quotes, but
Yeah.
you done good,
You know what?
kid.
I think Michael actually did a great job. I mean, he didn't mess up a single line that he had to read.
I was gonna
True.
say
No,
he
that's a
game
good
planned this because it's got tasty.
Flawless reading,
Content.
Michael.
Yes. Thank you.
Oh, always
Your
appreciate
character
it.
was so believable.
And of course, the two of you did wonderful. You homeschooled children. You
Yes.
can't
We
put
read
on
good.
if you can't put on a play for Grandma and Aunt Gertrude. I don't know what you can do once you've been stuck indoors for 18
Gosh.
years. So we might as well enjoy it while it lasts. But For all of you lovely folk listening out there in Watcher World, we sincerely appreciate you being here as always. And for the Disinformed Fan Friction this week, I'm Shane.
I'm Michael.
And Courtney.
And I'm Steven.
Thank you all for being here. And remember, you can get caught up in the rising tide and washed on down to the Love Shack.